Have you ever wondered why the pain of a breakup feels heavier than almost anything else in life? It's not just about losing a person. It's about losing a part of yourself, a vision of the future, a story you thought you were writing together. Suddenly the plans, the laughter, the inside jokes, the quiet moments, all of it feels like it vanished in an instant, and you're left standing in the silence, asking yourself if you'll ever feel whole again. That ache in your chest, that emptiness in your stomach, that fog in your mind, it's real. It's human. And right now, it might feel impossible to move forward. But I need you to hear this. The fact that you are here, listening, searching for strength, means that you are already beginning to rise again. So many people try to outrun the pain. They distract themselves, bury the feelings, or pretend they're fine when inside they're breaking. But the truth is, healing doesn't come from pretending. Healing comes from asking the right question, the one question that can transform heartbreak into a new beginning. Right now, it's not about fixing everything at once. It's not about finding someone new or proving your worth. It's about pausing, breathing, and daring to ask yourself what this pain is trying to teach you. Because in every heartbreak, there is a lesson. In every ending, there is a seed of beginning. And when you choose to face it, rather than run from it, you start unlocking a strength you never knew you had. Think about it. Every person you've admired, every person who has found love again, joy again, peace again, they once stood where you are right now. They once felt crushed, hopeless, lost, but they made a decision. They asked themselves a question that shifted their perspective from, why did this happen to me, to what can I create from this? That is the moment everything changes. Because when you ask yourself the right question, you stop being the victim of the breakup and you start becoming the author of your comeback. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels unfair. And yes, your heart deserves compassion right now. But imagine this. What if this heartbreak is not the end of your story, but the turning point? What if it's the moment that forces you to rise, to rediscover your own worth, to rebuild stronger than you've ever been? That is the gift hidden in the pain. The gift most people never unwrap because they're too focused on what they've lost to see what they've gained. You have the chance right now to choose differently. You can let this breakup define you, or you can let it refine you. Stay with me because what you're about to hear is not just advice. It's a path that can take your heartbreak and turn it into fuel for growth, for courage, for becoming the version of yourself that deep down you've always known you could be. This is not about moving on too quickly. This is about moving forward with purpose. And when you reach the end of this journey, you won't just be over your ex. You'll be closer to your true self than ever before. That is why you cannot turn away now. That is why you must keep listening. Because the one question you are about to discover has the power to heal your heart and rewrite your story. So here you are, carrying a heart that feels cracked open, holding memories that seem too heavy to set down. The truth is, you don't just miss the person. You miss the way they made you feel. You miss the security, the comfort, the dream of forever. That's why letting go feels impossible, because it feels like letting go of a part of yourself. But here's the shift you need to see. The love you felt, the safety you long for, the joy you're searching for. It was never fully in them. It was always a reflection of what lives inside you. What you loved most wasn't just who they were, it was who you allowed yourself to be when you were with them. And if you could be that once, you can be that again. Breakups trick the mind into scarcity. They whisper, you'll never feel this way again. They convince you that the best chapters of your story are behind you. That belief is poison. It paralyzes you, keeping you stuck in the past, replaying conversations, analyzing every detail, searching for closure that may never come. But listen closely, your future is not behind you. The moments that will take your breath away are still waiting for you. The love that is right for you is not something you have lost. It is something you are still on the path to discover. And the strength to get there begins with reclaiming your worth today. Psychologists have studied heartbreak and found that the brain processes rejection like physical pain. That's why your body feels restless, your sleep is broken, your chest aches. But just as a broken bone heals stronger where it was once fractured, your heart can do the same. The pain is not a sign that you are broken beyond repair. It is evidence that you are alive, that you loved deeply, that you are capable of connection, and that capacity for love, for connection, for growth, that cannot be taken from you. What ended was a relationship, not your ability to give and receive love. When you allow yourself to see it this way, everything changes. Instead of asking, "Why wasn't I enough?" you begin to ask, "What can I learn from this pain? How can I grow from this loss?" That's when your healing transforms into power. Because the truth is, the end of a relationship often reveals the parts of ourselves we've been neglecting. Maybe you gave too much and lost your identity. Maybe you settled for less than you deserved because you feared being alone. Maybe you silenced your own needs to keep the peace. Whatever the lesson, this is your chance to reclaim yourself. Not the version of you that needed someone else to feel whole, but the version of you that knows your worth before anyone else validates it. And here is the emotional reward waiting for you if you choose this path: freedom. Freedom from replaying the past, freedom from comparing yourself to the person they left you for, or the person they might meet next. Freedom from the false belief that your happiness depends on who stays or who leaves. Imagine that feeling for a moment, waking up with peace instead of dread, smiling at the thought of the future instead of fearing it, walking through life with a quiet confidence that no breakup can shake. That is not just possible, it's waiting for you the moment you decide to rise. Stay here, stay open, because the strength you are searching for is not somewhere out there, it is already within you, waiting to be claimed. This heartbreak is not the end, it is the invitation, and the question that unlocks it all is closer than you think. The question you must dare to ask yourself is simple, yet it holds the power to change everything. Who do I choose to become because of this? Not what do I get back, not what do I lose, but who do I become now that life has broken me open? Because the truth is, heartbreak doesn't define you. The way you respond to it does. Pain can either shrink you or expand you. It can trap you in bitterness or push you into growth. The choice is yours, even when it doesn't feel like it. And when you claim that choice, you take back the power that heartbreak tried to steal. Most people never ask this question. They get stuck asking, why did they leave? Or why wasn't I enough? They search for answers that don't exist, digging for closure in places that will never give it. But those questions keep you chained to the past. They keep you waiting for someone else to set you free. The question that opens the door is not about them, it is about you. Who do you choose to become because of this? Do you become someone who lets rejection define your worth? Or do you become someone who uses this pain as the fire that forges a stronger, braver, wiser version of yourself? That decision is everything. When you shift your focus from what was taken from you to what can be created within you, healing begins. And this is not about pretending it doesn't hurt. This is not about toxic positivity or forcing yourself to smile when you feel like crying. This is about taking the energy of heartbreak, the anger, the sadness, the disappointment, and channeling it into transformation. Research shows that emotions are energy in motion. They must move somewhere. If you suppress them, they eat away at you. But if you direct them, they become fuel. Imagine the fuel of your heartbreak no longer being wasted on replaying old conversations or stalking their life online, but being poured into rediscovering yourself, building your strength, creating a future that excites you. That is the path forward. Ask yourself this: if I use this pain to grow, what parts of me will come alive? Maybe it's the part of you that stopped chasing your dreams because you were too focused on the relationship. Maybe it's the confidence you abandoned to keep the peace. Maybe it's the inner voice you silenced for too long. This is your chance to awaken all of it. Because when someone leaves, they don't just walk away from your life, they leave behind a space, and that space is waiting to be filled. Not with another person, not with another distraction, but with the version of you that has been waiting to be born. Picture yourself months from now looking back on this moment. You'll remember the nights you cried, the mornings you felt empty, the days when it felt unbearable. But you'll also remember that you made a choice. You chose not to let heartbreak define your story. You chose to rise, and that decision will become one of the most powerful turning points of your life. You will not only get over this breakup, you will outgrow it. And when you do, you will look in the mirror and see someone you never want to lose again, yourself. The moment you choose to rise is the moment everything begins to shift. But choice is more than words. It is more than a promise whispered in the dark. Choice is action, repeated day after day, even when it feels unbearable. Healing from heartbreak is not a single decision made once. It is a decision you make every morning when you wake up and feel the weight pressing on your chest. It is the decision to breathe deeply, to move forward one step at a time, to keep showing up for yourself even when the world feels heavy. And every time you make that choice, even in the smallest way, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than the pain. The mind will try to pull you back. It will feed you memories like movies you didn't ask to watch. It will remind you of the way they smiled, the way their voice felt like home, the way you believed it would last forever. That's because the brain is wired for patterns. It clings to what is familiar, even if it hurts you. But here's the truth. Familiarity is not the same as love. Habit is not the same as happiness. You are not longing for them. You are longing for the comfort of what you once knew, and that longing can keep you trapped unless you teach your mind a new pattern, one that doesn't look backward, but forward. Psychologists call this neuroplasticity, the ability of the brain to rewire itself through repetition and intention. Every time you interrupt a painful memory and replace it with a new choice, you are teaching your brain that you can survive without them. Every time you remind yourself, I am worthy, even if they walked away, you carve a new pathway of strength. At first, it feels forced. At first, it feels hollow. But over time, those small acts of defiance against heartbreak become the very foundation of your healing. You are literally reshaping your mind, rebuilding your heart, and reclaiming your life with every choice you make. And what's waiting for you when you keep choosing yourself is freedom unlike anything you've known before. No more clinging to old conversations, no more bargaining with memories, no more trying to rewrite a story that has already ended. Instead, you stand in the present moment, with all of its possibility, with all of its open doors. And this is where the real beauty begins. Because when you stop begging for love from the past, you make space for love that is real, love that is healthy, love that honors you for exactly who you are. But before you can ever receive that, you must give it to yourself first. Think about it. If you could survive the breaking, what else could you survive? If you can endure the pain of losing someone you thought you couldn't live without, then what is left to fear? This heartbreak is not just teaching you about loss. It is teaching you about resilience. It is teaching you that even on the nights you thought would destroy you, you still woke up the next day. You still breathed. You still carried on. And that strength, that quiet, relentless strength, is proof that you are capable of more than you ever imagined. So hold on to that truth. Let it anchor you. Let it remind you that this pain will not last forever, but the strength it gives you will. And when you keep making the choice to rise, you are not only healing, you are becoming unstoppable. Strength alone is not enough. You must also decide where to direct it. Energy without focus turns into restlessness, but energy with intention turns into transformation. Heartbreak floods you with emotion, with sleepless nights and racing thoughts, with waves of longing and anger that feel like they come from nowhere. That storm inside you is not a curse. It is raw energy. And the question is not whether it exists, but how you will use it. You can pour it into replaying what you lost, or you can pour it into building what you deserve. One path keeps you trapped in circles. The other propels you into growth. Every time you feel the ache, every time the tears come, every time you're tempted to reach out just to feel less alone, you're standing at a crossroad. One direction leads backward into dependence, the other forward into discovery. And the way forward begins with small acts of reclaiming yourself. When you take a walk instead of scrolling through their pictures, you choose yourself. When you write your thoughts down instead of bottling them up, you choose yourself. When you dare to sit with your feelings instead of numbing them, you choose yourself. These choices may seem small, but they are bricks. And brick by brick, they build the foundation of the new life that's waiting for you. Science shows us that habits shape identity. The more you choose actions aligned with healing, the more your brain starts to see you as a person who is healing. The more you choose self-respect over self-sabotage, the more you become someone who believes in their own worth. This is not about pretending you're okay. It's about teaching yourself that you are capable of becoming okay. And each time you prove that to yourself, you gain momentum. Momentum that carries you forward on the days when your strength feels like it's slipping. Momentum that slowly replaces despair with hope. This is why you cannot underestimate the power of your daily choices. They are not just tasks. They are declarations. Every healthy choice you make in this season of pain is a statement to yourself, I am not broken, I am rebuilding. I am not abandoned, I am awakening. I am not lost, I am on a new path. And when those words are lived, not just thought, they begin to shape a new reality. The reality where you are no longer defined by who left, but by who you are becoming. And here's the miracle hidden in this process. As you rise, as you build, as you reclaim yourself piece by piece, you begin to discover something you may have forgotten. You are enough. Not because someone else chooses you, not because someone else validates you, but because you have chosen yourself again and again, even through the hardest storm of your life. That kind of strength cannot be faked. That kind of worth cannot be taken away. So let the energy of your heartbreak be your fuel. Direct it into your healing, direct it into your growth, direct it into becoming the version of yourself who no longer begs to be loved but radiates love from within. This is where your freedom lives. This is where your new story begins. And this is the moment where you take the broken pieces and decide that they will no longer be fragments of loss, but fragments of a masterpiece in the making. Rebuilding yourself after heartbreak is not about returning to who you were before. It is about becoming someone new, someone who carries wisdom, depth, and strength that could only be born through fire. The old version of you, the one who tied their happiness so tightly to another person, is gone. And that is not something to mourn. That is something to honor. Because what is emerging now is a version of you who understands that real love begins with self-respect. Real love begins with boundaries. Real love begins with knowing your value even when someone else fails to see it. The truth is, heartbreak strips away illusions. It removes the mask of comfort and forces you to face yourself. It asks you the hardest question of all. Who are you when there is no one there to hold you, to validate you, to reassure you? And as terrifying as that question feels, it is also the most liberating one you will ever answer. Because once you discover that you can stand alone, that you can build joy without leaning on someone else, you become untouchable. Not untouchable in the sense of being closed off, but in the sense of never again depending on someone else to complete you. Think about the strength it takes to sit in the silence after the storm, to feel the emptiness and still choose to rise, to carry the ache in your chest and still whisper to yourself, I am worthy of more. That kind of strength cannot be destroyed, and the more you practice it, the more you realize that what once felt like the end is actually the beginning of your truest self. The end of the relationship is not the end of love. It is the end of losing yourself in the wrong kind of love. Every great transformation in life begins with discomfort. Growth is never gentle. It pushes, it stretches, it breaks you open so that you can rebuild in a way that aligns with who you were meant to be all along. And while right now the pain feels unbearable, one day you will look back and recognize it as the catalyst for your evolution. You will see that this heartbreak was not here to destroy you. It was here to wake you up. Wake you up to your strength, to your potential, to your capacity to create a life that reflects your highest self. So instead of asking why it ended, ask why you needed this ending to unlock your next chapter. Instead of clinging to what slipped away, open your hands to what life is trying to place in them now. Because everything you thought you lost, love, connection, belonging, none of it is gone forever. It is waiting for you on the other side of this growth. But you will only reach it if you refuse to give up on yourself. And here lies the reward for enduring the fire. Unshakable confidence. The kind of confidence that cannot be broken by rejection because it is rooted in your own worth. The kind of confidence that attracts the right people, the right opportunities, the right love, because it radiates from within. This is what your heartbreak is offering you. Not the end of your story, but the rewriting of it. Not despair, but awakening. Not loss, but rebirth. And the moment you accept that, you step into a life that is not just healed, it is transformed. The moment you begin to see heartbreak as a rebirth instead of an ending, you unlock the power to rebuild your life on new terms. No longer are you bound by the patterns that once held you back. No longer are you defined by the love you lost. You are defined now by the courage to rise, the willingness to grow, the strength to create a new identity that honors who you truly are. And the truth is, this transformation doesn't come from someone else stepping in to save you. It comes from you making the decision to save yourself. Every tear you've cried has watered the soil of your future. Every sleepless night has carved out space for new strength to take root. Every moment of doubt has become an invitation to build resilience. Nothing has been wasted. Even the pain you feel right now is shaping you into someone who knows how to survive. Someone who knows how to stand tall when everything around them feels like it's collapsing. This is not weakness. It is proof of life. It is proof that your heart still beats, still hopes, still believes even after being broken. What you must hold on to is this. Healing is not about erasing the past, it is about rewriting the meaning of it. You cannot change that the relationship ended, but you can decide what the ending stands for in your story. Will it stand for rejection, abandonment, failure, or will it stand for growth, awakening, rebirth? That choice is yours. The same event can destroy one person and empower another. The difference lies in the meaning you give it. And when you choose a meaning that lifts you instead of crushes you, you take control of your narrative. You take back the pen and write your own story. Psychology shows us that humans are meaning makers. Our minds crave stories to make sense of our pain, and the story you choose to tell yourself in this moment will either set you free or keep you chained. If you tell yourself you are unworthy because someone left, you will carry that weight into every part of your life. But if you tell yourself that this ending is preparing you for something greater, you open the door to a future that reflects that belief. The words you whisper to yourself are not harmless. They are seeds. And right now, you have the choice to plant seeds of despair or seeds of strength. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a future where this heartbreak no longer defines you. Imagine waking up without the heaviness in your chest. Imagine laughing without guilt, dreaming without fear, loving without hesitation. That version of you is not a fantasy. It is waiting on the other side of the choices you make today. And every small act of self-respect, every step forward, every time you refuse to settle for less than you deserve, you are walking closer to that future. This is the reward for asking yourself the right question. This is the transformation that comes when you stop waiting for someone else to complete you and realize you were whole all along. Your heartbreak has not ended you. It has revealed you. And the person it reveals, the person who rises from this pain, will not only survive, but thrive. The person you're becoming is not someone who hides from pain, but someone who learns to turn pain into power. That shift alone changes everything. Because once you realize that heartbreak cannot break you, that rejection cannot erase your worth, that endings cannot stop your growth, you become unstoppable. You stop begging for answers from people who walked away. You stop waiting for apologies that may never come. You stop giving your energy to the past, and you begin to claim your energy for the future. That moment of claiming yourself is the moment you rise above the storm. Think of the strength it takes to love and lose, to open your heart fully, knowing there is always a risk, and still choosing to give. That strength is not gone just because the relationship ended. It is still within you, and now it can be directed in a new way, toward building your life, your vision, your purpose. Heartbreak is proof that you were brave enough to love. And if you were brave enough to love once, you are brave enough to rise again. The courage that carried you into love is the same courage that will carry you into healing. But this time, your courage will be deeper, because now you know what it feels like to fall, and knowing that you can fall and still rise makes you fearless. People who have never been broken may look strong, but those who have been broken and put themselves back together are unshakable. That is the kind of strength you are building right now. Not fragile strength that depends on someone else holding you up, but grounded strength that comes from within, that no one can take away. And what emerges when you build that inner strength is clarity. You begin to see what you truly want, what you truly deserve, and what you will never again settle for. Pain sharpens your vision. It strips away the illusions, the excuses, the compromises you once made to keep a love alive that was never fully aligned with you. Now you see with sharper eyes, stronger boundaries, and a clearer sense of self. This clarity is a gift, and it will shape every decision you make from this point forward. Imagine standing in front of a mirror and seeing not just a survivor, but a creator. Not someone who was left behind, but someone who chose to move forward. Not someone who lost love, but someone who discovered self-love. That reflection is powerful. That reflection is freedom. And when you carry that image of yourself into the world, everything shifts. You attract different people. You create different opportunities. You live with a different level of confidence. Because you are no longer searching outside for what you already hold inside. And this is why heartbreak can be one of life's greatest teachers. It strips you down to your core and forces you to see what was always there, the resilience, the worth, the unshakable strength. The lesson is not about how to avoid pain, but about how to rise through it. Because life will test you again. Love will challenge you again. But this time, you will meet it differently. You will not cling from fear. You will not settle from insecurity. You will not beg to be chosen. You will walk forward knowing that you are already enough. And when you live from that truth, nothing can hold you back. To live from the truth that you are already enough is to free yourself from the chains of comparison and validation. Breakups often leave you trapped in comparisons, comparing yourself to the person they chose, to the life they're living now, to the imagined version of yourself you think could have kept them. But comparison is a thief. It robs you of peace. It distorts reality. It convinces you that your value is conditional on someone else's approval. The moment you release comparison, you reclaim your power, because the truth is, no one else can compete with you when you are fully yourself. Psychologists have shown that our brains naturally scan for threats, for reasons why we're not safe, not enough, not secure. After heartbreak, that instinct often turns inward. You search for flaws, replay mistakes, amplify insecurities, but this survival mechanism was never designed to define your worth. It was designed to keep you alert. And now, it is your responsibility to retrain your mind, to redirect that focus away from self-doubt and into self-affirmation. You do this not by denying your flaws, but by recognizing that your worth was never based on perfection. Your worth was never in question. It is unconditional. When you finally accept that truth, you step into a new way of living. You stop chasing people who cannot see you. You stop bending yourself into shapes just to be loved. You stop negotiating your value for scraps of attention. Instead, you stand firmly in who you are, and from that place of strength, the right people are drawn to you. People who do not demand that you shrink, but celebrate the fullness of who you are. This is the kind of love you deserve, the kind that begins with the love you first give to yourself. Imagine what changes when you no longer wake up measuring your worth against someone else's choices. Imagine what happens when you start each day with the certainty that you are already enough, already whole, already capable of creating joy. The heaviness begins to lift. The bitterness begins to fade. The need to prove yourself disappears. And in its place grows a quiet confidence, a deep peace, a freedom that cannot be shaken. That freedom is the gift waiting for you when you choose to see yourself clearly. This is why heartbreak, as painful as it is, can be the very doorway to self-discovery. Without it, you might have continued to hide behind someone else's validation. Without it, you might have continued to measure yourself through someone else's eyes. But now, you are forced to look inward. And what you will find there, if you are brave enough to keep looking, is the truth you've been searching for all along. That you were never lacking, that you were never too much or not enough, that you are a complete human being capable of giving and receiving love, whether or not someone else chooses to stay. This shift is everything. Because when you see yourself as whole, no rejection can reduce you, no breakup can define you, no loss can erase you. You become untouchable, not because you don't feel pain, but because pain no longer has the power to destroy you. And from that place, you step into the kind of life you were always meant to live. One built not on fear of being left behind, but on the unshakable truth that you are already enough. When you finally anchor yourself in the truth that you are already whole, the way you move through the world changes. You stop chasing after love as if it's something outside of you to capture, and instead you carry it within you everywhere you go. That inner shift radiates outward. People feel it in your presence, in your energy, in the way you walk into a room. You no longer approach life from a place of need, but from a place of fullness. And fullness is magnetic. Fullness attracts experiences, opportunities, and relationships that mirror the strength you've built inside yourself. This is why healing is not just about surviving heartbreak. It's about using it as the fuel to rise into your highest self. Because when you operate from wholeness, you don't just recover, you transform. You stop looking for someone to fix the brokenness because you've already done the work to rebuild yourself stronger than before. You stop settling for half commitments and almost love because you know you deserve more than crumbs. You stop fearing loneliness because you have discovered that solitude is not emptiness, it is power. There is a freedom that comes when you realize you don't have to chase what was never meant for you. You don't have to force connections, prove your worth, or beg someone to stay. Instead, you learn to trust the timing of life, to trust that endings clear the path for beginnings, and that rejection is often redirection. When one door closes, it is not because you are unworthy, it is because something better is waiting on the other side. That belief, once it takes root, changes how you face every challenge that follows. And while this belief may feel fragile at first, every act of self-respect strengthens it. Every time you say no to what doesn't align with you, every time you protect your peace instead of sacrificing it, every time you choose to walk away from what drains you, you reinforce your new identity. The identity of someone who no longer settles. The identity of someone who knows they deserve to be loved with depth, honesty, and respect. These decisions, repeated daily, are not small, they are revolutionary. They are the proof that you are not just healing, but evolving. Imagine the strength of carrying this version of yourself into the future. Imagine the clarity of never again questioning whether you are enough, because you have built your life on the foundation of knowing that you are. Imagine the peace of not clinging to people out of fear of loss, but allowing love to flow freely, knowing that no matter what happens, you will never abandon yourself again. That is the power of healing deeply. That is the transformation. Heartbreak was designed to awaken within you, and one day, without forcing it, without searching desperately, love will meet you again. But it will not be the kind of love that consumes your identity or leaves you questioning your worth. It will be the kind of love that matches the fullness you already hold, the kind of love that feels like partnership, not dependence, the kind of love that adds to your life without becoming your life. And you will recognize it because you have done the work to recognize yourself first. This is the gift waiting on the other side of heartbreak. Not just healing, but freedom. Not just survival, but transformation. Not just another chapter, but a new story written from a place of strength. And the best part is this: it all begins the moment you decide to rise. Rising begins in the smallest of moments. It begins when you choose to stop revisiting old wounds and start creating new possibilities. It begins when you turn your attention away from the person who left and toward the life that still belongs to you. It begins when you remind yourself, even in whispers, that your story is not over. Every decision you make now is a declaration of how this chapter will shape you. And each choice, no matter how small, is evidence that you are no longer defined by what you lost, but by what you are building. Your mind will try to pull you back into the past because that is where it feels safe, even if safe means painful. The brain craves familiarity even when it hurts you. But safety is not the same as freedom. Familiarity is not the same as fulfillment. You cannot heal by circling the same memories that cut you open. You heal by breaking the cycle, by training your mind to move toward hope instead of replaying despair. That doesn't mean pretending you're not hurting. It means giving the pain a purpose. It means using the ache not as a weight that drags you down, but as fuel that pushes you forward. Every time you choose growth over grief, you are rewiring your brain. This is how resilience is built, not in sudden leaps, but in steady steps. Neuroscience proves that repetition changes the mind. The more you choose self-respect over self-doubt, the more you choose hope over hopelessness, the more you choose action over paralysis, the more your brain begins to create new pathways. And those pathways lead you into a future where your heart no longer aches for what is gone, but beats fully for what is to come. There will be days when it feels easier to go back, to reach out, to fall into the illusion of comfort with what once was. But comfort is not the same as love. Comfort is not the same as growth. If you return to what broke you, you return to the very thing that stopped you from seeing your true worth. And you did not survive this heartbreak just to go back to the same patterns. You survived it to rise beyond them. That is your calling now, to honor the pain by making sure it was not wasted, by ensuring it becomes the foundation of a stronger you. And that strength, once built, cannot be taken away, because you will know what it feels like to walk through fire and come out alive. You will know that even on the days when you thought you couldn't go on, you did. You will carry that truth in your bones, and it will change how you face every challenge that comes next. You will no longer fear endings, because you will know that endings are also beginnings. You will no longer fear being left, because you will know you can never lose yourself again. This is the freedom that comes from choosing to rise, a freedom built not on denial but on courage, a freedom that whispers, I am unshakable, I am enough, I am free. And when you live from that freedom, heartbreak is no longer your prison. It becomes your proof that nothing can stop you from becoming who you were always meant to be. Freedom is not only about leaving behind what hurt you, it is about stepping boldly into what now awaits you. Healing creates space, and that space is not meant to stay empty. It is meant to be filled with purpose, with growth, with experiences that remind you of who you are and what you are capable of. Too often, heartbreak tricks you into thinking that your best days are behind you, that the joy you once felt is gone for good. But that is a lie. Life is not finished giving to you. The future still holds moments of laughter that will shake you to your core, love that will feel deeper and truer than you imagined, and victories that will make this chapter of pain feel like the soil from which your strength grew. To reach that future, you must dare to envision it. The mind follows where vision leads. If you only see loss, you will walk in loss. But if you begin to imagine the person you are becoming, the resilience in your step, the clarity in your eyes, the peace in your heart, you start guiding your mind toward transformation. Visualization is not a fantasy. It is a tool. Athletes use it to win. Leaders use it to create. Survivors use it to heal. When you picture yourself rising, your brain begins to believe it. And when your brain believes it, your actions align with it. You begin to live as though you are already the person you are becoming. That is why it is essential not to fill the space with distractions or with temporary relief. You could numb the pain with noise, with validation, with shallow connections, but all of those things leave you emptier in the end. True healing comes when you choose to fill the space with intention. Fill it with movement that strengthens your body. Fill it with knowledge that expands your mind. Fill it with practices that nurture your spirit. These are not just habits, they are lifelines. They anchor you when the waves of grief rise. They remind you that you are not powerless, and they prove to you that life after heartbreak is not just possible, but vibrant. And as you do this, something incredible happens. The energy that once consumed you with longing for the past begins to shift. The nights that once felt unbearable become moments of quiet reflection. The mornings that once felt heavy become opportunities to grow. The pain that once felt like it was destroying you becomes the very fire that is refining you. Slowly, almost silently, you begin to notice the change. The weight feels lighter. The tears come less often. The smile feels real again. This is how transformation works, not in sudden lightning, but in steady rising. What matters most is that you keep showing up for yourself. Healing is not linear. Some days you will feel strong and some days the ache will return. But strength is not the absence of struggle. Strength is choosing to continue, even when struggle visits you again. Each time you keep moving, you are proving to yourself that you are no longer defined by the loss. You are defined by the rise. And when you live from that truth, your story stops being one of heartbreak and becomes one of triumph. Not because you avoided the pain, but because you walked through it and came out alive, awake, and unshakable. This is the future that belongs to you. This is the life waiting on the other side of heartbreak. And the choice to step into it is already in your hands. There is a question that must guide you through this journey, a question that shifts everything the moment you dare to answer it honestly. Who am I becoming because of this? Not who was I when the relationship ended, not who was I when my heart broke, but who am I now, in this very moment of rebuilding? Because this question forces you to step out of the shadows of the past and into the light of possibility. It stops you from obsessing over what was lost and directs your energy toward what is being created. The past already had its answer. Now it's time to give your future one. The truth is, every experience shapes you, but heartbreak has the power to either define you or refine you. It can leave you bitter, or it can make you wise. It can chain you to the pain, or it can set you free through clarity. The answer depends entirely on how you respond to this question of becoming. If you allow your heartbreak to reduce you, you will carry its weight into every chapter that follows. But if you allow it to expand you, to sharpen you, to deepen your capacity for self-love and vision, then the very thing that felt like it was breaking you will become the foundation of your greatness. To answer this question, you must be willing to confront the mirror with honesty. What parts of yourself were neglected while you were chasing love? What dreams were placed on hold? What strengths have been hidden under the surface, waiting for you to call them forward? These are not questions meant to shame you. They are meant to liberate you. Because when you stop blaming the past and start owning your becoming, you take back the power that heartbreak tried to steal. You are no longer a victim of what someone did to you. You are the architect of who you are now. This shift is not just emotional, it is psychological. Studies on post-traumatic growth show that people who face profound loss often emerge with greater strength, deeper purpose, and a stronger sense of self than ever before. But only if they choose to engage with their pain intentionally. That means you must stop waiting for time to do all the healing. Time alone does not heal, it only passes. What heals is what you do at that time, what choices you make in the space that heartbreak has left behind. And here is where courage comes in. Courage is not the absence of fear, and it is not pretending the pain doesn't exist. Courage is the decision to face the truth and still move forward. Courage is saying, yes, I'm hurting, but I'm also building. Courage is refusing to allow one ending to steal the rest of your story. Every act of courage, no matter how small, rewrites the script of who you are becoming. It may be as simple as getting out of bed when you feel like hiding, as intentional as setting a new goal, or as bold as finally saying, I am ready to let go. And as you keep answering this question with action, you will notice something extraordinary. The heartbreak that once consumed you will begin to feel smaller, and the vision of who you are becoming will feel larger. That vision will give you strength. It will remind you that the most important part of your story is not who left, but who stayed, you. And you, right now, are becoming stronger, wiser, and more unstoppable than you have ever been before. The moment you ask yourself who you are becoming, you begin to notice that healing is not only about moving on, it is about moving upward. Every choice you make from this point forward is a vote for the person you are stepping into. And the truth is, the world doesn't just need you to survive this heartbreak. The world needs you to rise from it, to become someone whose story proves that endings can create beginnings, that pain can be a birthplace of strength, that brokenness can give rise to beauty. But this requires more than hope. It requires intention. Because without intention, the past will keep pulling you back like quicksand. Without intention, the voice of doubt will grow louder than the voice of possibility. This is why clarity is so powerful. You must decide with conviction who you are becoming and why that matters. Write it down, speak it out loud, repeat it until it no longer feels like a fragile wish, but a powerful identity. The human brain follows the direction of focus, and when you give your focus to the vision of your future self, you begin to rewire your mind to align with it. Neuroscience shows us that the brain is plastic. It changes based on the thoughts you feed it, the habits you practice, and the meaning you attach to events. If you continue to feed your brain with the narrative of loss, you will live as if you are incomplete.